It's located just 60 miles off the coast of North Africa, in the Atlantic Ocean. This is the volcanic island of Lanzarote. One of the 7 that make up the Canary Archipelago, this Spanish island is full of stark contrast. The raw volcanic rock gives way to beautiful sun-filled beaches as they slip away into the ocean. The island was settled by the Spanish in the 14th century, and signs of its old world charm are everywhere. With a climate that rarely varies from sunny and hot, and an ocean that seemingly goes on forever, this island is the perfect place to test your Ironman mettle in a race that may be the toughest of them all. It's 5 a.m. and over 700 athletes are preparing for a challenge that only the Ironman can throw at you. Looking for the man who can tame this beast today? It might be Great Britain's Matt Belfield. He was runner-up here last year, and he's back, looking for the first Ironman win of his career. The most feared cyclist in the field, he loves the incredible climbs this race offers. The tougher, the better. Last year, Belfield's plans for victory were crushed by this man, Germany's Rolf Lotenbacher, who ran Belfield down in the marathon for the first Ironman win of his career. 2 in a row would sound good. As for Americans who can contend today, there's just one, Chucky Velupek, or as he's better known in the sport, Chucky V. This free spirit with the engaging smile has come to prove that he's not all show, and it's time to win the first Ironman race of his career. In the women's race, many have predicted an inaugural Ironman win for 25-year-old French-Canadian Isabelle Gagnon. Top 10 in Hawaii the last 2 years, it's time now for promise to meet results. Next door on this morning, another Canadian, Laurie Lynn Leach, forced to drop out of Ironman New Zealand earlier this year after a bike crash. She's now back to erase those memories here today. On Lanzarote, the Scandinavian influence is apparent in the form of 31-year-old Lena Wahlqvist of Sweden. This is her first Ironman, and she's picked quite a place to start. But no one here has a more daunting task today than Randy Cadell. He'll try to traverse the 140 Ironman miles propelled only by his arms, and he knows the heat in the hills will be brutal.
It's a trippy island, and it's going to be an awesome thing to do if I can get it done before 12 midnight, because I know, for one thing, I'm definitely not going to make the cutoff with this kind of wind. It's just, and the course, it's going to be pretty intense. I'm going to have to brake all the way down these hills, and it's like 2-3 miles an hour up the hill.
Well, nicknamed the Animal, Cadell is the first physically challenged athlete to attempt this event. As the 7 o'clock start draws near and the sun creeps up, the athletes are making their way to the swim start and the beginning of the 140-mile journey. It's the 1999 Ironman Canary Islands Triathlon here on ESPN, and it is the toughest test on the Ironman circuit. Just a minute or so before the race starts, and the last second fidgeting is well underway at the water's edge where it all begins. The pros are afforded a little space up front. The waiting is the hardest part. It's 7 a.m. And there it is, the start of the 1999 Ironman Canary Islands. And while the pros streak into the water, many of the savvy Ironman veterans tiptoe into their Ironman journeys. Many are here chasing the 60 qualifying spots for the Ironman World Championship this fall in Hawaii. That's the most coveted invite in the sport, and it brings athletes here from all over the world. Up front, the pros wrestle for early position in this 2.4-mile swim. As always, it's followed by a 112-mile bike ride, and then a marathon 26.2 miles that make up all the Ironman races around the world. The 1999 Ironman Canary Islands Triathlon is brought to you by Isuzu. We don't make cars because life is too big for cars. By the Twin Lab Ironman Triathlon Nutrition Bar. 40-30-30 nutrition for whatever you're training for. And by Bally Total Fitness. Bally workouts work. Get the results you want. Call 1-800-FITNESS today. Back to the Ironman Canary Islands, where Germany's Wolfgang Dietrich leads the 2.4-mile swim. Dietrich has opened up a gap of a minute on the field. In the chase pack, the purple cap belongs to the American Chucky Velupek. Chucky V is here looking for the all-important first Ironman win for him.
It's something that I think I need to do personally. I've been knocking at the door for quite some time, off and on, and I think it would just make a big difference to knowing I gave it my all, and I think that's the result that should be there, having given it my all.
Well, everyone in this field will have to give it their all just to finish the event, and that includes last year's runner-up Matt Belfield, swimming here in the green cap. Belfield has been training for this race for a year, and he's ready to win it now.
I think I can, yeah. It's going to take somebody good to beat me, and if I don't win it, there's going to be nothing in it between 3 or 4 of us. I'm definitely going to be up there somewhere.
Well, he's confident, and one man Belfield will have to catch is Wolfgang Dietrich, who leads the 2.4-mile swim at the halfway mark. A unique aspect of this swim is the athletes leaving the water and coming ashore halfway through it. A quick glance back to his pursuers, and Dietrich is away now for the second lap of the swim. In the women's event, Canadian Laurie Lynn Leach continues to lead. And just behind her, the Swede Lena Wahlqvist has some early problems. The back of her wetsuit is open and it's taking on water. The additional drag will cost her time and force her to work harder in the water. Rising from the ocean in the purple cap, Chucky V has made it to shore, and he's halfway through the swim. In the green cap, Matt Belfield is right with Chucky and about a minute back of the leader, Dietrich. Up front, Wolfgang Dietrich moves smartly through the water. He's building a lead, but knows his race starts on shore. And that's where we find Lena Wahlqvist in the light blue cap. She's still fighting her wetsuit as she completes lap 1, and she's trailing only Laurie Lynn Leach. Next to exit in the white cap is Isabelle Gagnon. The swim is her weakest link, so she's glad this one is half over at least. Back up front, another Canadian, Laurie Lynn Leach, holds on to her lead with Wahlqvist just behind. In the green cap, Matt Belfield pushes to shore. He's ready to get this show literally on the road. Just in front, Chucky V gets ready for the transition. 50 minutes in the water. Wolfgang Dietrich exits in the lead. Time to make the quick transition from swimmer to biker. Already struggling to get out of his wetsuit, he pauses to hit the timing pad. The chase pack with Chucky V and Belfield is just a few hundred yards from land. While Dietrich sprints to his bike and is soon away. He knows his race is just about to start. Meanwhile, Chucky V in that purple cap is out, and just behind him in the green one is Matt Belfield. Race leader Wolfgang Dietrich of Germany heads out of the town of Puerto del Carmen. Chucky V makes quick work of the transition. No time to rub in this suntan lotion. Defending champion Rolf Lotenbacher is to his bike as well. Both he and Chucky V are right behind the departed Matt Belfield. Now exiting the water, women's leader Laurie Lynn Leach. She starts getting out of her wetsuit as she runs up the beach. No one has battled her wetsuit like Lena Volquist. At least this nightmare is over. The sun is already out at 8 a.m. and Dietrich knows the race is about to heat up. Matt Belfield wastes no time. He's out of the saddle and pushing towards the front, while back in the ocean, an hour in the water for Isabelle Gagnon. Laurie Lynn Leach is away. Cycling shoes on and bulky wetsuit off, Volquist heads out too. Leach would like to run and hide, but not on this island. Shades firmly in place, Isabelle Gagnon slides out of transition to begin the 112-mile ride. For everyone here today, the heat and the hills are waiting. Islands here on ESPN, and if you're a fan of Ironman racing, log on to the official Ironman website at www.ironmanlive.com. Now leaving the water, 31-year-old Randy Cadell, paralysed from a motorcycle accident when just 19. He's here to try and conquer this course using only his arms. It's been 11 years since the accident, but he remembers it like it was yesterday.
Once you finally really got up and tasted what it was like not to walk, when you wanted to walk, then it was different, you know, then it was, oh boy, we're serious now, you know, let's, you know.
At the time, Cadell was married and was raising a young daughter named Jennifer. Her father was now paralysed, and it took some family encouragement to get Randy from wallowing in self-pity.
My wife said, don't show your daughter how to be a quitter. Her saying that and me wanting to, you know, help and be a part of, you know, showing her how to deal with this was like second nature almost. It was definitely a blessing from God to be able to not let it worry and stay with me all my life.
Cadell found his way to triathlon for life's meaning, and he competed in New Zealand at the Ironman race in March. But there he missed the bike cut-off by a mere 30 seconds, and his race was over.
I missed. 30 seconds, huh?
Feel pairs there, don't you? Really do. Hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Oh well. In my own mind, I was telling myself that it was all right because I went the wrong way a couple of times. I accepted it, you know, it was easy for me to do because I know next year when I go to do it, it won't be a problem.
After what Cadell has been through, there is no such thing as failure. But as he heads out on this course, the toughest day of his Ironman career is now ahead of him. Back up front with the pros, Wolfgang Dietrich holds on to a precarious lead in the men's event. His nearest pursuer is the man from the British Midlands, Matt Belfield, now just 2 minutes off the lead and charging through the lava field. Behind Belfield, the American Chucky V rides just 25 seconds back. He'll need every bit of his cycling background here today. Back another 45 seconds, we find the defending champion, Rolf Lotenbacher. A great runner, he'll just try and stay close for the moment. And behind Rolf, another talented German, Alexander Tobert. A late entry explains the high number, but don't be fooled. He's been as high as 6th in the World Championship in Hawaii. To complete this German trio, number 20, Stefan Liebertrau, is about 4 minutes back. He raced well here last year and thrives on the wind and hills which this course offers. In the women's event, Canadian Laurie Lynn Leach continues to lead. This is her second attempt at the Ironman distance this year, having dropped out in New Zealand. For Lena Wahlqvist, this is her first Ironman ever, a debut in the toughest conditions imaginable, but now she's only 40 seconds off the front. Behind Wahlqvist, a pair of Dutch women ride together. Bianca van Dijk is almost 3 minutes off the lead, but seems to be enjoying all the attention. With her, 30-year-old Marijke Zeekant is out of the saddle on the climb out of town. And acting as the caboose on this particular train, 25-year-old Isabelle Gagnon. She's getting her first dose of climbing 4 minutes off the pace. Out of the saddle and pushing up hills, she better get used to it. There's plenty more to come.
Stage 1, accelerated pulse. Stage 8, shredded skin. Stage 16, abdominal distress. Stage 21, hysteria.
To salute the 21 stages of the Tour de France, Isuzu is giving away 21 Lightspeed Titanium Ultimate Road bikes. Visit a dealer by July 25th to enter.
When you wax your car, you want that protection and shine to last.
Oh, won't you stay?
New Armor All Car Wax. It shines. It protects longer than any...
I'm Phil Liggett, back at the Ironman Canary Islands, where the party is over for Germany's Wolfgang Dietrich. His lead is gone. And the man entering the picture is 27-year-old Matt Belfield, who blows past Dietrich without a glance or acknowledgement to take the lead. He blew this race open on the bike last year, and he's determined and confident he can do it again today.
I think you get used to the pain and then the pain just goes. If anyone can try and stay with me, good luck to them. But I hope somebody does, because that'll make it an interesting race. Because they won't know whether to stay with me or to ease back. Because there's a marathon to do after. And I've done it before, so I can do it again.
Well, last year it was that marathon that was Belfield's undoing. We'll see what he's learned here today. Behind, the chase pack is also beginning to take shape. Chucky V is now riding with the defending champion, Rolf Lotenbacher. A rookie here, Chucky figures why not ride with someone who knows the route. Hanging around just ahead of them both, Alexander Tobert. These three will make up the core of the chase group, along with Stefan Liebertrau. It's time for damage control, with Belfield off the front. It's the same story in the women's race, but the hunter here is Lena Volquist, playing the part of Matt Belfield. Playing Wolfgang Dietrich, we have Laurie Lynn Leach, the hunted rider. The Swede measures her prey and then delivers the knockout blow. She passes Leach with angelic precision. The new women's leader is in position. Behind, Isabel Gagnon has made short work of the Dutch duo, moved into third place. She has been top 10 in Hawaii the last 2 years and has come here to win on the toughest bike course around.
I really like hills. This is my strong part. When it's flat, you know, it's not my strongest part. When it's really hilly, I like it that mentally it's harder, and I like when it's really hard for the mental, because I know that I can really, you know, manage my mental really well, more in the hills. And I'm pretty good technical, you know, when it's the time to going down the hills also. So here I think it's a bike course for me.
Well, if it's hills she likes, she's come to the right spot. Now in fourth place, Bianca van Dijk isn't smiling quite as much anymore. This race is just getting tougher. Back in the men's chase pack, we find Chucky Velupek, a man who burst on the triathlon scene in the early 1990s with a bizarre hairdo that he parlayed into a national commercial and a degree of mainstream fame. He can look back and reflect on his creation.
It's like I have a name, you know. I have a purpose, too. Though I haven't found it yet, I do have a purpose. 119. 148. Girls, girls, girls!
Yeah, that whole Chucky V thing, I wouldn't have changed a thing. That was really a dream come true, and because of it, I'm still surviving financially. I put a lot of money in the bank, and that's enabling me to continue this. How's the hair look?
My hair doubles as a helmet.
It's kind of like a sundial, too. There was some bad with it, though. I let the pressure get to me. Everywhere I went, I became this persona, Chucky V.
I like it a lot. I bring you Chucky V.
And I wasn't being true to myself. All I really wanted to do was go out and train all day, but I started answering the phone more, writing letters, writing emails, staying attached to the business side far more than I should have.
I'm a very tense person.
It's just a maturity thing. I now know that really to take care of business in the sport, you need to perform. That is the first rule. And once I do that, then I can worry about the rest of it, answering the phone again, or calling, or doing what I need to do.
Chucky V wasn't all smoke and mirrors. He placed 11th in the 1994 World Championships in Hawaii, but now appears on the verge of a breakthrough without the hairdo, bells and whistles. Here on the climbs to the island summit, Chucky Velupek rides on a mission. It's time for him to produce results at this Ironman and prove to himself he belongs. Atlantic island of Lanzarote, where the gorgeous blue waters belie a land that throws so much at each Ironman competitor. The fabled winds are pounding each athlete, but none more than Randy Cadell. He knows he probably won't make the cutoff at 5:30 to continue on in the marathon course, but he pushes on relentlessly. Up front in the men's race, Britain's Matt Belfield just keeps building on his lead. It's over 7 minutes on his closest competitor, and it's growing with every turn of the pedals. His closest pursuer is Stefan Liebertrau, who has broken clear from the chase pack. On a steep descent on this roller coaster course, Chucky Velupek just tries to stay close to them all. For Alex Tobert, it's a climb and then a descent, one after the other. He and Chucky V are tackling the small Spanish villages one by one. The bike course has claimed its first victim, as defending champion Rolf Lotenbacher has fallen well off the pace. He's over 15 minutes behind Belfield's torrid pace. The chances for a repeat victory are slipping away. For Matt Belfield, mission accomplished. There is no one in his rear-view mirror, but what will it cost him in the run? For Stefan Liebertrau, the race is going exactly as it did last year. A great ride put him in the top 5 then, but he faded on the run. For now, though, plenty to smile about. Chucky V was an Olympic quality cyclist before he got into triathlon, and he'll need all his expertise right now. For Alex Tobert, the challenge is keeping his 6-foot frame tucked away on the descents. In the women's race, Lena Wahlqvist has pulled away from the field. The Swede is bearing down and building a 4-minute lead in the process. Now in second place, Isabelle Gagnon's wish for hills and climbs have been granted tenfold. In third, riding with her countrywoman Bianca van Dijk, is Marijke Zeekant. These two have ridden the entire course together, and now they weave their way through the myriad of Spanish villages on the route. This is by far the most scenic yet punishing Ironman bike course anywhere in the world. It is a challenge all triathletes have to do at least once. As for the early leader, Lorilyn Leach, she's fallen victim to the course and is now almost 15 minutes behind. No faking anything here today. Lena Wahlqvist is in uncharted waters now, an iron rookie. With ignorance being bliss, the marathon will tell the story. Same for Matt Belfield as he descends back towards town and the marathon itself. He's in the lead. Is it now big enough to give him his first ever victory? For Matt Belfield, this has been a brilliant ride. Just over 5 hours on the bike. As he pulls his feet out of his cycling shoes, the crowd in Puerto del Carmen watches as Belfield now gets ready for the marathon. He's built a double-digit lead over the rest. While Belfield is focused on this race for now, his biggest concerns are off the course. Here to keep his Ironman Hawaii dreams alive.
Depends on how this race goes, because at the moment I'm in a lot of financial debt just to train full time. So I need to produce a good result here to earn some money to get to the next race.
Well, the results have been better than good so far. 26.2 miles to go for the deposit slip he so desperately needs. Stefan Liebertrau enjoys second place, coming back to the spot it all began almost 6 hours ago. 2 minutes behind Liebertrau, Chucky V and Alex Tobert continue their private party. Over 5 hours they've been together on the road. Arriving in transition, Stefan Liebertrau, passed by Matt Belfield coming into town and has seen the deficit. Last year, Belfield's lead was 9 minutes off the bike. This year, it's over 11. Quick change in the books. Liebertrau heads out onto the 4-looped marathon course. Temperatures have soared into the upper 80s. No clouds in the sky. Tobert and Chucky pass on the way in. Belfield fuels up. Like an armed guard on duty, it's time to protect the heavy investment he's made in building this lead. Suntan lotion spread all over his shoulders, Chucky V charges out on lap 1 of 4. Alex Tobert is right behind. For Chucky V, this is Act 3 of this Ironman trilogy, but it's not his favourite chapter.
So I would expect to be off the bike in the top 3, and then really the run, to be honest, is one of my weaker links in a marathon, and shorter races I'm okay, but it would just be hang on.
Not exactly exuding confidence, but he presses on. Respect is on the line. Just behind, Alexander Tobert is in trouble. His back has seized up and he's forced to stop. Thoughts of catching Matt Belfield have gone out of focus. Back at the transition, Sweden's Lena Wahlqvist ends her Ironman ride 6 hours on the bike. Her lead is well earned. Dragging her hands across the timing pad, it's now time to grab the running shoes for the marathon. For Wahlqvist, the maiden Ironman voyage is going smoothly. The same can be said for Isabelle Gagnon. She's from Canada, but trains with the Mad Dog Triathlon team in Florida, so she knows about heat and humidity. Only 4 minutes off the lead. Loyal to the end, the Dutch pair of Bianca van Dijk and Zikant arrive together for transition. Can the nationalism last on the run? Isabelle Gagnon, early form is good. All questions now answered. Bianca van Dijk has taken 3rd place. This curious chapeau can't hide the fact that Zikant is losing ground early. Lena Wahlqvist, the woman in the bullseye. Far from the transition area, Randy Cadell grinds on in solitude. The heat and hills are brutal, but there is no quit in Cadell. It's just not an option. Back to the Canary Islands, where if this gentleman is interested in finding out much more about the Ironman, including live race coverage and merchandising, he can log on to ironmanlive.com, the official Ironman website. Here in Lanzarote, 27-year-old Matt Belfield continues to lead the men's event by a commanding margin. Behind him on the marathon course, the men's race is heating up. American Chucky Velupek is making a move into 2nd place. The man in his way is Stefan Liebertrau. As they pass through an aid station, Chucky V moves ahead into a clear 2nd. He said the run wasn't his strong suit, but so far so good. Mind you, he's still 11.5 minutes off Belfield's lead. At almost all the Ironman races, new names and faces emerge, and today's potential spoiler is Finland's Anssi Laitinen. Almost 20 minutes off the bike, he has run now into 4th place. As Matt Belfield passes Chucky V, the finish line and a big payday get closer with every step. There's no one here who needs it more than him.
If I didn't have the pressure there, I think I'd be racing even faster. But I do need to earn some money from this race. A lot of people think you get loads of money from sponsors, and I get nothing at all. I've just got a credit card bill to run up to pay for the vitamins and the food and the board.
Well, a win here today should keep him fed, warm and dry, at least for a little while. Holding on to 2nd place, Chucky V is gutting out this marathon. The Mohawk is gone, but now Chucky is earning respect where it matters most, in the Ironman, on the run. Meanwhile, women's leader Lena Wahlqvist is in trouble. cramping and bloated, her distended stomach has slowed her pace and the lead is evaporating. Just behind, Isabelle Gagnon tries to stay cool as the marathon course has become a furnace. Bianca van Dijk of Holland has laid claim to third place, and with the leader Volquist struggling, she's right back in the thick of it. For Isabelle Gagnon, good fortune meets hard work in the middle of the marathon. Lena Volquist's stomach problems have forced her off the course for relief, and suddenly her lead has gone. Isabelle Gagnon leads this race now for the first time, and if she's not sure, the lead cyclist tells her the story. But behind, Volquist struggles in pain. She's given up her second place now to Bianca van Dijk. Up ahead, Isabelle Gagnon's first Ironman win is within reach. Can she grab it? It's now just a mile or so from the finish line, and Matt Belfield is bearing down on the first Ironman win of his life. Behind him, another wrinkle in the plot is unfolding. Chucky Velupek holding on to second place. Antti Leitinen trying to take it from him. Less than 2 miles to go, and Leitinen has caught Chucky V in the midday heat. For Chucky, there's no place to hide. In a move of exemplary sportsmanship, Chucky offers his hand to a man who on this day will be just that little bit better. Third place now for Chucky, just a mile and a half left. Antti Leitinen started this marathon in 6th place. 5 now have fallen, only Belfield has been better. In the women's race, Bianca van Dijk has held on to her second place since she passed Lena Volquist. But like a cat with 9 lives, Volquist has come out of the shadows again. At one point, cramping and bloated, she has rebounded to chase down Bianca van Dijk for that second place. Graceful, it's not, but you can't measure heart in a stride. Her first Ironman is becoming quite a coming-out party. For Isabelle Gagnon, an Ironman victory seemed on schedule. But no one could have counted on the resilient Swede. The sun is wilting Isabelle Gagnon, and her hopes for victory are fading. As it was with Van Dijk, the unlikely-looking Swede moves in on her. From third place and cramping to first place and the lead, Lena Volquist has made a remarkable recovery in the first Ironman race of her life. And meanwhile, back in Puerto del Carmen, Matt Belfield is ready now to celebrate. He grabs the Union Jack and implores the crowd to bring him on home. Far away from the cheering crowds, Randy Cadell pursues his own Ironman dream. The cut-off time will certainly come and go, but for Randy, it's the journey that holds the reward. The 1999 Ironman Canary Islands Triathlon is brought to you by the TwinLab Ironman Triathlon Nutrition Bar. 40-30-30 nutrition for whatever you're training for. And by Bally Total Fitness. Bally workouts work. Get the results you want. Call 1-800-FITNESS today. And by Isuzu. We don't make cars because life is too big for cars.
Stage 1, accelerated pulse. Stage 8, shredded.
Phil Liggett back near the end of the Ironman Canary Islands, where Matt Belfield is about to become the first British triathlete ever to win an Ironman race. It'll be a day of firsts here in Lanzarote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have...
And the crowd loves it.
Next lap, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner, and he takes the crown of Lanzarote's Ironman 1999.
The greatest moment in his sporting life and a demolition of the men's field on a very tough day. Now approaching town, Finland's Anssi Laitinen will hold on now for second place. His best ever Ironman finish and the fastest marathon of the day as well. For Chucky V, a solid run. He'll hold on for third place in very tough conditions. Now let's go back to the finish and the men's champion.
The bike ride was a lot windier than last year, but probably an advantage to me with being stronger. And then I got a good lead on the bike and then just stayed in front. I was surprised what the lead was. So I just kept going along, going around then, and the top of the hill, Mirador del Rio, all the way down, I took it quite easy because I had gut ache on the bike and I really wanted to focus on the run then. So I think I must have come back about the same time as everybody else in the lead group. And then onto the run. I was a bit, I didn't really want to start the run. I had stomach ache and I just kept a good pace going. And I ran quicker than last year.
And back at the finish line, Anssi Laitinen has already crossed in second place, while Chucky V is almost there. For Chucky, this has been a most impressive performance, a long way from home. And here are the final results of the men's race, with Matt Belfield on top. Anssi Laitinen edges Chucky for third. Stefan Liebertrau holds on for fourth, and the defending champion Rolf Lotenbacher comes from way back into fifth. Let's go back to the finish line and get Chucky's take on the race.
I had a good day. I didn't know where I came out in the swim. Difficult to tell with the waves and chop and everything. I've never experienced anything like that on the bike. That wind was just intense. I mean, look at the trees behind me. It's just ridiculous. The bike course is the hilliest, windiest one I've ever done. And even if it weren't windy, it's academic. It's just so darn hilly and hot. You're just out in lava the whole time and very technical. I mean, the descents were just gnarly. And then I held it together in the run. I'm happy. I was a little displeased to get past so late in the run, but I remained consistent. I only had about a 5K bad patch, and that was the last lap, really. And by then, you're like a horse running for water. You can make it home.
Well, in the women's race, Lena Volquist is testing that theory as well. While her distended belly looks uncomfortable, she continues to lead this race, and it really is remarkable. For Bianca van Dijk, easily the best Ironman race of her career, she's holding on to second. The sun continues to beat down on a weary Isabelle Gagnon, who has slowed considerably and now runs along in fourth. The Ironman Odyssey is almost over for Lena Volquist, who makes her way to the finish line in Puerto del Carmen. She will win the first Ironman race of her career, coming from third place halfway through the marathon. This has been a remarkable effort, even in a sport which has seen it all. And there it is, the victory for the Swede in brutal conditions. A A big day for the Dutch too. Bianca van Dijk will finish second in the women's race. Now let's go back to the finish line with the women's champion Lena Volquist.
It was no good start this time, my first time. I just, after 10 seconds, I lost my watch in the start, and then my wetsuit was open in the back, so I thought that I have to take all the wetsuit out, but it's too cold, I think, so I swim with a wetsuit on but open in the back. But I think I did quite hard biking to La Santa. Then I'm very frightened to go downhill. So I thought that the other would came to me though, but they didn't. So I'm very pleased with the bike. I think that was the best thing I did today.
Well, winning may be the very best thing she did today. The Dutch duo Van Dijk and Zeekamp are 2 and 3, and Canadian Isabelle Gagnon hung on for 4th place. And as the sun sets here in the Canary Islands, Randy Cadell furiously works to make it around this island and to the town of Puerto del Carmen. In the end, he wouldn't make the cut-off time, but he went on to finish the course anyway. He came a long way to test himself in this race, and he didn't disappoint anyone, especially himself. He is what the Ironman is all about: heart, character and determination. And he'll be back to compete another day. This was another great event. For now, this is Phil Liggett saying goodbye from the 1999 Ironman Canary Islands Triathlon.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com.
The following is an exclusive presentation of ESPN.